This is more questions to react to others' positions, and I'd like to have your view on it. We haven't had a lot of that so far in this hearing. So Cactus and others have been advocating a community channel basically completely run and operated not by the cable companies, or the traditional BDUs, but by not-for-profit community groups. They believe quite firmly that if the public element of the broadcasting system is owned and operated by the public sector, and that the private element of the broadcasting system is owned and operated by the private sector, that the community element of the broadcasting system ought to be owned and operated by the community.
And I understand that, and you know, we totally agree with that, and we understand that, by the way, the money that's derived from our cable revenues is not Rogers' money. We know that. It's money that is allocated through a regulatory process, and we just happen to be the managers of that money and operate the systems. And Colette has said that she welcomes any and all groups that want access to that, so that avenue is open. We just believe that our 45-year history has demonstrated that we've done an excellent job of managing that. And so to move away from that model and onto something else, worth the healthy debate. But at the end of the day, we need to decide what actually gets delivered to the people, what is actually working, what is actually being produced that people find resonates with them and they want to watch. So
I may, in a very career-limiting move, may disagree with my boss, who just said we agree with the community should own the community part. With respect, the public is not, while taxpayer dollars go to fund the CBC and its activities, there is still oversight. I don't know, and there is still, it falls within a very concrete set of safeguards. I don't know how you would manage that if it were owned by 8,000, 9,000, 35,000 community associations.
We've heard a lot from yourselves and other cable operators or BUs saying how valuable the community cable presence is to your undertaking. And I've pointed out, and I'm sure you will agree with me, that the 1.5 or 2% is not a cap. It is a maximum allowance for the 5% Canadian content contribution. Why is it perceived as a cap in terms of actual spend? If it is so valuable, it provides a competitive advantage against the other BDUs to be seen as even more in the community?
We value what we do. We honor the mandate and the privilege to work within that framework at the local level, no question. Is it a differentiator over the, you know, our cable penetration is below 50% now. Is it that big a differentiator?
It might be worse if you didn't have a cable.
It could be. It could be. It is very valuable, but it is, in the face of other opportunities to reach a larger, broader audience, other priorities, I don't know that it could be seen as a wise marketing spend for us to put more money in it at that point in time. There are other competing priorities.
I am confused when I hear that the limit, there is a limit, and that 2% is the limit, and it's the regulatory obligation, and no more could be spent, because it seems to me that there's some pretty strategic corporate advantages within that 2%. First of all, everything's branded Rogers TV. I mean, it's not Markham Community TV. It's Rogers TV, maybe Markham. I'm not sure if it is or not. But so you've got branding, you've got you've got people within each of those communities whose sole function is essentially to interact with the community, to make community relationships and partnerships, and you're suggesting there's no value to Rogers at all to that. The only obligation is that which is a regulatory obligation, and I think I heard you say you recognize that's not Rogers. I wrote it down here somewhere, something that it's not Rogers' money. It's owned and operated by Rogers for the community. So you recognize it's not Rogers' money, but one might suggest there is certainly some value to the Rogers family related to owning and operating that community channel. Do you dispute that there is value? I mean, if you put your name on a stadium, you pay for that. But you appear to make no contribution at all to these stations where you've branded them. You have your own employees. You've got your feet in the street with the Rogers name tag. Tell me why it would be inappropriate for there to be at least some contribution by Rogers to these community channels over and above the 2% that you recognize is not Rogers' money.
It's certainly not my intent to say that we don't value it. We absolutely do value it. And the budget for community television at Rogers is a little over $40 million. I am asking in option one to spend more than the minimum allotment in markets where it truly is a local service. In markets like Toronto, where it's really well served by over-the-air platforms, by over-the-air stations, we would seek to move some of that funding and make a better use of it.
Sorry,
and
my
you're
question
asking
is
over
not,
and above.
Yeah, my question is not whether or not you want to reallocate to where it is of more value to you than where it is of less value, because you have an OTA, so it's not as valuable in Toronto. My question is, why is it inappropriate for Rogers to invest anything over and above the 2%, which they themselves recognize is not their money?
So it's, I just want to correct the record that there are many over-the-air stations serving the GTA market, so it's not a self-serving issue. This was about really how do we move money to underserved areas, not what is more valuable to us. The Toronto Community Channel is valuable to us, but if we're going to create news and information for Canadians in every market where they're undervalued, a very cost-effective way to do that is to move money from the Toronto Community Channel to the...
Very good,
I'll get to your answer.
But I understand your proposal, but that wasn't my question.
Yeah, so the answer is, it's not that it's inappropriate, it's just the realities of business dictate that it won't happen. It is not the most cost-effective marketing dollar. So the company wouldn't see it as they could spend that $1 million in different ways in a market to better service customers.
Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. You could spend it in a different way versus branding and marketing and people on the street whose essentially their only role is promotion.
Their only role is making community television, not promoting the company.
Making it for Rogers TV. Okay, I'll let it go. I've asked my question, got my answer.